word for word.
After a night of beating and banging at Richmond, we come to one of the most historic road courses in North America, Watkins Glen International in Upstate New York. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sam Cooper Bennett. Joining me in the booth here for ESPN, the Esports Broadcasting Network, is Mr. Frank Marchese. And Frank, we got 60 laps of road course racing for the second time on the channel this week with stock cars.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great night here. Last time it was Tuesday night, the Western States League at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Here at Watkins Glen, this is going to be an absolutely fantastic race here in our first showing on the portal with the MPI Cup Series.
That is true, as we're just looking at the cars making their way around the track for the last few seconds before we go to qualifying. But after a very tumultuous race last week at Richmond, which saw a lot of late race cautions, Frank, we do have cautions that are on the schedule for this one here tonight. Just go through what's on the schedule for this one here tonight.
Well, we do have, if you haven't seen any of the MPI series, they do have stage racing, so we know we're going to get one of those. That's going to be at lap 30. There's also going to be a competition caution that's going to split the first stage of this race in half at lap 15. So there's going to be a competition caution on lap 15, then the stage at lap 30, and then they're going to run the rest of the way, which is lap 60, right up until the very end under green.
Yep, so that's your information for tonight. We've got a lot of drivers that are not eligible to take part here tonight as well, which is very unfortunate, and some big names in that list as well, Frank, as we've got Austin Hager, Cole Maxwell, Chris Wilson. Obviously, he's not been here for the last few weeks, but this is where it gets interesting. Patrick McClendon, Ryan Wilson, and Zachary Wilson not eligible to take part here tonight.
And for those of you, again, our new viewers on the portal, those guys are ineligible to race because they did not turn enough laps in practice over the course of the week. So if you don't turn, I think it's 30 laps worth of practice over the course of the week, you will not be able to participate in the race on Sunday night, and those guys ran afoul of that rule.
They did. So 6 drivers not eligible to take part tonight, but we've still got a healthy grid. We've got 28 drivers set to take the green here tonight. Trevor Massetti is the most recent person to come into session, as we've got Warren Keith carrying on his form from last week, just absolutely demolishing the field right now in practice.
Yeah, he's on track right now, going down the back straightaway into the bus stop chicane, 1 full second clear of Ryan Thomas in the 32 in second place. So this is going to be quite an interesting night now, not just for the race itself, but just to see who could catch the 88.
Yeah, and he's he's not closely followed. He's got about 1 second back as Ryan Thomas and Dominic Lee in that matte black Envision Mustang. I do admit, I like a bit of matte black on a stock car, Frank.
It is quite nice when you get to see that dull shade of black on one of these cars.
Yep, he's in third place right now. Steve Kerpel is in fourth. Dakota Curtis in the 12 Menards machine, and he's gone back to Ford this week after running the Chevrolet last week. He decided, well, I was competitive enough last week, but I feel like I feel a bit more comfortable in the Ford, so he's gone back to the Ford in that number 12.
And I don't know about you guys, but I've certainly felt, now I'm mainly a Chevy guy, but I just started running the Toyotas, and to me the Toyotas seem a lot tighter than the Chevrolets. It might just be me, it might just be the track I was running on, might be the car. But if that is true, and these cars do have a little bit of a different feel, that could be part of the reason why he's just trying to find his feel.
And the Toyota not shown a lot of not being the most popular car out there tonight. We've got only 6 Toyotas in the field of 28 drivers here tonight. So that is how people favor the Mustang and the Camaro over the Toyota.
if for me, the Camaro, it feels a lot looser. It feels a lot more rear-end happy. I haven't driven the Ford because I never will. So I don't know what the Ford feels like. And like I said, the Toyota feels a little bit tighter than the Chevrolet just on base. So that could be why, especially on a track like this where you need that back end to come around and help rotate through the center, both left and right.
So we've got a couple of paint schemes, special paint schemes out there tonight. You've probably just seen Warren Keith there. He's running the classic Tickford Ford V8 Supercars paint scheme. And there was another one that really caught your eye here tonight before we started this broadcast.
Yeah, it was, well, there's a couple. There's Ryan Thomas in the 32 driving the 2003 throwback for Jimmy Johnson, his Power of Pride, in the 32 this time for Ryan Thomas. And then also Brian Fine in the number 98 throwing in a V8 supercar paint scheme out there. Jamie Wincup's Vodafone, I believe he's in a Ford.
Yeah, he is in a Ford. That was the last year that I believe that team were with Ford when they ran that paint scheme. Another one that caught both of our eyes as well, and I'm not sure if I see him out on track. Dustin Reeves.
He's in pit lane.
Yeah, he's in pit lane. I got him right here. As he's running the classic Mark Martin paint scheme, the number 6 Valvoline.
Yeah, mid-90s. This was it right here. This was a car, like if you're a Jeff Gordon fan like I am, this was a car you saw a lot battling with him. Is that number 6, and it's really nice to see that car back out on track again.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be an ESPN broadcast if we didn't gush over the paint schemes every now and again. We just saw the points leader Garrett Brown just stroll through your infield shot there as we saw. Save it, Garrett! Save it! No, he didn't save it.
Oh no, he most certainly didn't save it.
Oh!
And there goes Reeves.
So as we saw Dustin Reeves just coming down the pit road, and Garrett Brown was just making his way, I believe, starting some kind of a hot lap, but unfortunately did not work in his favour as we go back to Dakota Curtis. We've still got a fair bit of practice left to go. Let's bring up the timing tower right now, and yeah, we've got about 35 seconds left in practice, so we'll get straight onto the qualifying in just a second. But yeah, this is going to be a very interesting race. It's the first time all season they have ran on road courses.
Yeah, it is, and what a time for it to come as well, because next week with Kentucky, that's the last race before they lock the top 12 in the championship for the playoffs. Then after that, it's Dover. They go back to Indianapolis. They've already run a race at Indianapolis this season. They're going to go back to it, and then they're going to end the season out at Phoenix. So we've only got, after tonight, it's only 4 races left, a month's worth of racing left, and we're very glad to be bringing it all to you right here, not just on ESPN, but on the portal as well.
Absolutely. We are live on the iRacing Live portal, so make sure you check us out over on that side. You will see us on that yellow bar on the bottom of the website screen, so make sure you take a look as you're scrolling through, seeing what race you want to run next on iRacing. So here we go, qualifying underway, and we have some drivers out on track already, and already Ryan Thomas is going to be the first man out on pit road right now as he makes his way up through the S's and down the backstretch.
Yep, Ryan Thomas is out there. Austin Shoemaker out there as well. I believe I saw Richard Swavely, pardon me. I went with the last name, the Lee on the last name. Richard Swavely is out there, so guys getting out here, 10-minute qualifying, 3 laps in the MPI Cup Series you get to take for qualifying. Probably won't get all 3 of them in the 10 minutes time, but still you do have 3 laps of qualifying that you can get in this series.
Yep, as Ryan Thomas just taking it easy, just trying to get those tyres warmed up before we start this qualifying run here. Makes his way through the final corner, and now this is where he gets to do it under anger. He goes flying down the front stretch here, Frank, and we're going to go on board here with Ryan Thomas. So Frank, give us a lap around the Watkins Glen circuit.
Yep, heavy braking zone going down into turn 1. Older cars would be first gear going through turn 1. Now you're flying up through the S's Little tiny bit of a lift as you get through the first. Right should be flat. Maybe if the car's a little bit tighter. Through the first left. Now the right to get onto the back straightaway. Thomas really letting it rev out before he hits the brakes. Going into the bus stop chicane. Should be second gear. Through here, a little bit of a gas split before you got to let off. Going through the carousel. Long right-hander. This carousel, really have to be patient through here. Down this long chute heading into, I call it turn 10. I believe it's turn 7 in the Cup Series now. Another heavy, hard braking zone, a passing area. Keeps it snug up against those curbs in the left. And now the final corner, turn 8 or turn 11, depending upon whether or not you count the bus stops as their individual corners, onto the start-finish line before you get set to do it again.
And that will put Ryan Thomas to the top already. We're going to bring up the NASCAR ticker for this one. So we're going to bring this up for qualifying, because obviously you're going to see the people putting the times in as they come along in this qualifying session, and the new timing tower kind of blocks that. So we kind of have to make do with what we have. Trevor Massetti jumping up to second in the AC Delco number 3 this week. He's running a very different one this time round.
Yeah, a little bit different to what the normal AC Delco scheme looks like. Put it up in second position after not getting a solid lap in during practice. Looks very solid going through the bus stop. A little wide through the carousel. Now, if you remember back to last week, Warren Keith said this is one of the guys he's going to be fearing this week, because Massetti is very, very quick around these road courses, hoping to show it here.
And he's green in the second sector. Let's see what he can do for the final one here as he comes through. Final corner, back end stepping out there as he comes out. Big slide, and that's going to do it for his qualifying run as it stands right now. Let's go to the man that absolutely destroyed everybody during practice, and that's Warren Keith in the Tickford Ford right now, coming up through the S's. Let's see what he can put down as his first lap.
Yep, as Warren Keith, he had set the best lap in practice, was the only driver to get into the 1 minute 8 second bracket, was a second clear of Ryan Thomas. So this is expected to be a pole lap here. So nice and tidy, he keeps it through that carousel. Little wiggle on exit though.
Yeah, big wiggle on exit as it comes up towards the penultimate turn on the track. Keeps it smooth, very low there. Just a bit of rumble strip as he exits the corner into the final corner now. Now this is going to be an interesting corner during the race here, Fran, because people, especially around pit stops, when people are trying to make those pit stops, you got to be careful, because you can, if they slow down dramatically for the pit road, that could end in disaster if you run into the back of them.
And especially for guys that could be running side by side, because the corner before that is a tight corner after a long straightaway, so it's a heavy braking zone. So guys are going to be trying to make moves there. There could be people behind guys that are trying to pit that are racing each other for position, as Keith must have had an off somewhere. I would have to assume out of the carousel in the first lap, because his time didn't register.
Yeah, as he's on his second lap now. As he makes his way through the carousel, we've got Dominic Lee just gone up to... Where did he go? P7. So poor qualifying time for Dominic Lee, considering where he finished in practice.
Yep, third fastest in practice, and I believe that looks about 3/4 of a second off of where he was on that practice time. Still has 2 more laps, I believe. Still a little bit of a slide there.
Oh, he kicked up some dirt there. I wonder if that's going to cancel his time. We'll find out right now as Warren Keith crosses the line.
P1.
Yeah, and there we go. P1 for Warren Keith. And he did kick up a tiny bit of grass on the exit of the final turn, but obviously that was not representative, and that did give him the time at the end of that one. So Warren Keith, as things stand right now with 3 minutes and about 50 seconds to go, is on the pole here, and we've not got any new drivers out on track right now trying to take time. Jerry Culver currently bringing up the rear of the people that have qualified right now, as we're looking at Culver in the Miller Lite number 2 machine. There's a bit of a Brad Keselowski throwback there.
And I'm still watching Warren Keith, and he's aborted his third lap. He took it very, very wide. As a matter of fact, he's going to go down the boot. He took it very, very wide, going out of turn 1, and then clipped the grass on both left-handers through the chicane. So that's, if one didn't nullify his time, the second one certainly did, and he's called it a session.
So one of the very few Toyotas out on track right now, and it's the man that has won twice this season already, Ray Rogers, coming through the bus stop here and looking for race win number 3 here, Frank. He's going to have to do it on a road course, though. Not really had the pace as everybody else so far tonight, though. No,
he was in practice. He was in the upper 110 second bracket, so he would be about a second and a half off of pole time right about now. And this is a race for a guy like Ray Rogers. This is one where you just try to survive. You've already got 2 wins in your pocket. You're close in battling for the championship. You're already in the championship with the chase and with the 2 wins. So this is one where you just try to survive if you're Ray Rogers.
So I don't know if for those that are not that live under a rock or are not paying attention, there was a special day this past week with Veterans Day, or Remembrance Day as it's known over here in Europe, and you can see people paying tribute to that here tonight. Ray Rogers running a Hope for the Higher Heroes USA number 51. A bit of a different dynamic from his monster paint scheme than he normally runs, but we have a few other drivers running patriotic schemes. You saw Jerry Culver running the patriotic Miller paint scheme, and we saw obviously Ryan Thomas's Jimmy Johnson throwback as well.
Yep. Guys that didn't get to run on Wednesday nights here on the broadcast, getting their chance to show their patriotism now as Rogers coming out of the final corner.
This one's not going to be very fast here as he puts in a 1:11. So
that's a 1:10.4 for Ray Rogers.
There we go. So still top 10 for Ray Rogers, but not as high up as he would like to be. But then again, the thing with Ray Rogers is that he doesn't usually tend to qualify near the front. It's usually during the race he likes to make those runs.
If he tends to qualify at all, and I'm the same way. I can't hot lap for the life of me. I'm not saying Ray Rogers can't hot lap, but he's one of those guys that likes to either not qualify or just, kind of just ride around in qualifying, get a feel for the car. This is one of those races, though, where you cannot move up through the field in the same way that you can on an oval. So I'm sure he's taking this qualifying session pretty seriously, as he just might be able to get this lap in time.
He's got 15 seconds to do it as he makes his way to the penultimate turn. And towards the final turn, 10 seconds, he's not going to do it here, Frank.
If he makes it, it's going to be by the hair of his chin, and he is not going to do it.
Oh, he's literally inches from the line. Oh, wow. Oh, no. So that is qualifying done and dusted. So with that, let's go to the grid for tonight's race, and a very, very dominant qualifying session from one man, and that was from Warren Keith. He starts up on the pole, and he's joined on the front row by what seems to be his closest rival at the moment, Ryan Thomas, who's also on the front row. Trevor Massetti and Dakota Curtis make up row 2. Richard Swaverley and Chris Shoemaker row 3. Great time for Shoemaker in the top 10 there. Row 4 going to Austin Shoemaker and Ray Rogers. Row 5 going to Dominic Lee and Carl Burke, who gets a top 10 start here tonight. Steve Capel and Garrett Brown make up row 6. And row 7 makes up Justin Hendry and Daniel Holcroft here, Frank.
Yep, that'll leave row 8 as Matt
Kip Easley.
I lost time. I lost track. Kip Easley and Matt Rogers make up row 8. Row 9, Garrett Davis and Parker Bland. Row 10 will be Jason Clark and Ryan Ezell. Row 11, Joseph Mahar and Jerry Culver. Row 12, will be James Kunkel and Dustin Reeves. Row 13 will be Clint Leatherwood and Brian Fine. Christopher Fail will be starting on the final row of the grid, and Dylan Hastings has throughputed, so he is not going to be starting where it says he will be starting.
So that is qualifying done and dusted here for this one, as we are looking at the field. And again, Frank, this is going to be a very interesting and very different race to what we normally see here with the MPI Cup Series.
It certainly is, and I do want to just take a step back for a second here and apologize. We have a bad rainstorm that just hit right now. So
okay.
If I do drop or if I do have connection issues, that would be why.
That's fine. As we're looking at the whole field here, all lined up on the grid, and it's gonna be a whole lap around here at Watkins Glen, as we see the whole field just peeling away from pit road. And I will admit, I love road course racing. I said this on Tuesday when we did Western States. I love me some road racing, and stock cars at Watkins Glen is a big yes please in my book.
It is a great combination, these big lunky cars going through it, not just tight corners, but you also have that speed to where you can let these big clunky cars do what they do, which is go quick. So this is a perfect combination, a perfect road course for these cars to go to. Just wish that some open wheel cars would come here again someday.
We will get some open wheel cars here soon. Sim Racers Edge are going here soon, so
that well, that's not what I meant, but yes,
okay.
You're right. Sim Racers Edge is coming here soon, and E-Formula is going to be coming here this upcoming Saturday, so that should be fun.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one as well, as they make their way through the bus stop for the first and only time tonight. It looks like Warren Keith is going to go. No, it's not Warren Keith. That's Brian Thomas is going to go straight through the bus stop.
And that is a slowdown penalty during the race for those of you who do know, as I'm sure a lot of us do. That is a slowdown penalty during the race, so that is a major no-no, as you could imagine.
Yeah, you probably got a slowdown penalty for right there, but obviously it won't affect.
Under the caution, you're fine. But also, just one more mention: Garrett Davis given an end-of-line penalty for missing the driver's meeting.
So Garrett Davis will be starting from the back, as Dylan Hastings still hasn't returned to the race. But Frank, I think I'll give you the honour of starting this one off here tonight.
Thank you very much. As the field makes their way through the penultimate corner and on their way to the front straightaway, just 4 more races to go after tonight in the season. 1 more race to go after tonight in the playoffs. Who can get that all-important win heading into the playoffs? The green flag is in the air. We are racing at Watkins Glen International.
Yeah, as Warren Keith makes his way down towards turn 1, and we've got a whole plethora of cars here. And can everybody make it through turn 1 safely? It looks like everybody can. And a great first lap for everybody else as Warren Keith leads them up to the S's for the first time tonight. Ryan Thomas under massive pressure from Trevor Massetti as they come out the S's down towards the bus stop for the first time.
Yeah, Ryan Thomas got in the grass on that first right at the very bottom of the hill. That kind of sent him a little wild, able to get it squared away again as Massetti now right behind him. But Keith is going to want to do what he did in practice, just get a couple of hot laps in, run away from these guys, and just alleviate that pressure off of himself so he can focus on the line and not necessarily the cars around him.
Yeah, so Ryan Thomas now starting to get away from Massetti. Massetti still right just ahead of Curtis, as Curtis goes for a slide down. This is another telltale corner to see who can make it through safely. It looks like everybody just taking it easy for this first lap, and obviously you have to, as actually we look at Ryan Hizell just getting a little bit wrong there and now under pressure from the 58 Jason Clark.
Yeah, he's slow coming through that last corner, and this is, you have that competition caution coming on lap 15. You have the stage caution coming at the halfway point, so there's really no reason to press at this point. Now, you are only allowed to fill these cars up to 60% fuel capacity, and you have 3 sets of tires to change onto. So that's pit stops at like 15, 30, and 45 to get you to the end of this race if you want to split it evenly.
Richard Swaveley's had a good start here tonight. He's already up to P5 now, getting ahead of both of the Shoemakers, father and son. That is father right behind him in Chris Shoemaker, and son right behind Chris Shoemaker in Austin Shoemaker. As we've got a pass.
Oh, wreck in the back.
As we do have a wreck in the back, that's Jerry Culver in trouble.
Yeah, Brian Fine and Jerry Culver. Culver, they were going side by side into the chicane. And Culver just turned in as if Fine wasn't there and pinched Fine against the wall and spun Culver around.
Yeah, we're going to try and there you go. Brian Fine in the wars already here tonight as that did not work out very well.
Way off at turn 1.
Massetti's off. Oh, he's not. Never mind.
No, Massetti's fine. It was Dakota Curtis that went way wide through turn 1. Now, you can run out wide in 1, but as far as Curtis went, that's not advisable.
Yeah, that let
way off.
That let Swaveley through very easily. As Massetti's still trying to chase down Thomas, but we're going to go back to this battle between Swaveley, Curtis, and the 2 Shoemakers right there in 6th and 7th. And Austin Shoemaker under a bit of pressure here. He's got Dominic Lee and Carl Burke right behind him now.
Dominic Lee trying to make his way around the 15 of Austin Shoemaker, looking into that second to last corner. And again, as I mentioned, it's a big pass zone, and Shoemaker's got no choice but to let it go. So they're going to call Burke through. The 51 of Ray Rogers is going to go around as well. So just a bad set of corners.
Yep, so Austin Shoemaker dropping all the way back to P10 now. You also let Ray Rogers through as well. Steve Capel will be the next one in the M&M's number 18 as we go. We've already got Warren Keith has already got a 1.5 second lead over Ryan Thomas. So Keith's already starting to stamp his authority on this one. Let's go a bit further back in the field. That's Justin Hendry in the Milwaukee number 28. Now he's running by himself pretty much as we've had trouble at the back, and Garrett Davis has had trouble as well.
And Garrett Davis, as we mentioned, Davis had that end of line penalty for missing the drivers' meeting, so he started back there to begin with. Good chance to just drive and just let the race come to you, but he's already got himself about 30 seconds behind the leader, Keith.
Yeah, Christopher Fail having problems as well in the 89 JC Concepts machine as he goes around on the exit of turn 1, and just a little kiss of the wall as he corrects it, as there goes James Kunkel to his inside as well. So a few problems, having trouble early on as we go back live once again, and Christopher Fail is still, as we're looking at Garrett Davis in P22 actually, as Trevor Massetti is
Jason Clark trying to make a move on Kip Easley going down into turn 1. And you can see there on the inside, that's the 41. That is Dylan Hastings, 4 laps down after rejoining this race after a throughputting in between qualifying and the grid. So the 41 is in the race now, 4 laps down.
Yeah, as we're looking at Clark there, as he did get around, he did get around Easley. No, he didn't get around easily. There's a very similar car behind him. That's Leatherwood behind him.
Easily slow coming out of here. I believe that's the 51 of Ray Rogers with damage on the front end.
That is, he's had a problem as well. Let's see if we can find it here, as he had a good start.
The 12 and the 53 had an incident at the back end of the bus stop chicane. And the 51, trying to avoid it, just locked the tires up and spun it.
Oh, yeah, I see that now, yeah. And we're going to go back to the incident between Burke and Curtis as they come back down flying down the backstretch here. It looked like Burke was trying to put a move. Actually, no, Dakota Curtis lost it, and Carl Burke just had nowhere to go.
Yep, and we've seen Curtis has been a little aggressive. Boy, Dominic Lee almost caught some of that as well. 15 just narrowly avoiding it, but yeah, it's so easy to lock the brakes up here and just go for a ride, and that's exactly what happened with Dakota Curtis.
And we've had problems with Chris Shoemaker as well. He's in pit road early on. Let's see what happened to Shoemaker. Actually, he went in pit road voluntarily.
Yeah, he went. Oh no, he blew up.
Oh,
he blew up going into the second to last corner.
Oh no!
If he's using a manual, if he's using a clutch on his rig, he hasn't been clutching the car.
Not very well.
And he's been letting it rev too high. That's the only explanation.
Yeah, as we're looking at Dominic Lee now running by himself, as the field getting very strung out now already, and we've seen a lot of people having big incidents. Ryan Ezell, Christopher Fail having incidents as well. There is the 89.
More than just one camera for this.
Yeah, I know, right? As Dominic Lee just sliding his way through the bus stop. We've got a battle brewing for the lead, though, as Ryan Thomas has picked up his pace and is now really caught up to the back of Warren Keys now for that first place. And Trevor Massetti's not too far behind either.
And just while you're talking about that, there was a little bit of an incident in the back going through turn one involving Steve Kerpel, Garrett Brown, Matt Rogers. Rogers got the worst of the deal, ended up backwards at pit exit, but all drivers keep going.
Yeah, and Carl Burke is still going without a front end, by the way, as he gets passed by Garrett Brown. And Burke has got to go in and get that fixed. Dakota Curtis starting to make his way back through the field as well. He's got massive side damage after that hit from Carl Burke. Actually, the side doesn't look too bad, actually. It's more of the front end than more the back end than the front.
Yeah, no, it's really not. It's not too bad for that number 12. But again, this is a track where mechanical grip is going to reign supreme here. So you can run with half your car missing as long as you don't damage the power coming out of that engine. You should be okay.
We've got a battle going on between Clark and Fine. Let's see if we can find it right here. As there is the battle. Brian Fine trying to get around the 58 right now as they come down towards the bus stop here. I think this is probably the closest battle we're going to see right now. Is Brian Fine going to look to the inside of the bus stop there? Clark going to fend him off just ever so slightly, and the 58 going to live to fight another day.
Yeah, that was just a little bit too far back. What he's got to focus on now is getting a run out of the carousel, a good run out of the carousel, which is exactly what he got, because Clark got a horrendous run out of the carousel. Take that speed, get to this second to last corner here, try to beat him in the braking zone as they switch, and Fine's gonna let him have it.
We've also had problems for Parker Bland. Let's take a look and see what happened to the man in the 00. And he just decided he fancied going to the beach this time. He decided to want to go to the sand on the exit of the final turn, or the second to last turn.
I will say this: Watkins Glen, New York, is not known for its beaches, but sure, you can have a holiday.
It looks like sand. I know it's gravel, but it looks like sand on here. But Brian Fine did finally get around Jason Clark there as they come through the S's. We are on lap 9 of 16. Remember, on lap 15 there will be a competition caution as we're looking at Richard Swaverley there, just very much well ahead of Trevor Massetti, but very much well behind the 3 of Trevor Massetti. I did say that twice. Dominic Lee is well ahead of Dominic Lee. He's well behind the 3 of Trevor Massetti. As we're looking at one person coming out of pit road, I believe.
It's Carl Burke coming out of pit road.
But Carl Burke 1 lap down. He is going to get a lot of fresh air to that engine now. He's missing the front clip and the front hood.
As you do. Yeah. I've been watching Ryan Thomas these last couple laps, and just him compared to Trevor Massetti. I don't know if it's just his driving style or if he's pushing that car a lot harder than Massetti is. but Thomas has been wiggling that rear end around a lot. And as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, you can do that, especially around here. It's somewhat of a necessity at a place like this. But you do it too much and you just lose time. And over the last couple laps, they've lost 1.8 seconds on Warren Keith. So Thomas is sort of holding Massetti up at this point.
Yeah, and Keith now has a 3.5 second lead over Ryan Thomas, and we're still focused on the 32 as they make their way towards turn 1. And you're right, Massetti is right there. And they're still getting away from Richard Swavely. Let's not discredit that one, but they're definitely not exactly closing in on Warren Keith now, as Keith is just sailing off into the distance at this moment as we're on lap 11. That won't last long though, because they will be bunched up again on lap 15.
Yeah, and just to show the speed difference between Massetti and Swavely, we're talking about Thomas being slow and as compared to Warren Keith. Trevor Massetti, who's behind Ryan Thomas right now, set a 1:12.3 last lap. Richard Swavely's last lap was a 1:13.1. So we're talking about Thomas and Massetti being slow. Richard Swavely is another second off of them as far as pace.
Yeah, as we're still on these two, as they're just keeping within touch and distance of each other. Carl Burke is right behind him. Obviously, he's just a lap down, so actually he's 2 laps down, I apologise. So he is just trying to get back what he lost, and he will get a lucky dog, I believe, because I think Hendry and Leatherwood are still on the lead lap.
He is.
Yeah.
Carl Burke 2 laps down in 26th. Dylan Hastings 4 laps down, and Chris Shoemaker 5 laps down. Those are the only cars not on the same lap as them.
And you've got to think that Chris Shoemaker might be out of this one right now, which is heartbreaking for him because he had such a good start. He had such a good qualifier and then made it even better with a great start.
Yeah, he certainly did. As Jerry Culver's the next car to be put a lap down in that Miller Lite number 2. Just got it all wrong going through the bus stop chicane, so we're looking maybe another lap or so before that 2 goes a lap down.
Yeah, and Dustin Reeves is right in front of him as well. And there they are. There is Reeves in that lovely number 6 Valvoline machine. As we've got a big gaggle of cars in front of him as well. Christopher Fail there in the 89. Then you've got James Kunkel in front of him in the 91 machine. Then Ryan Ezell. Kip Easley is right there as well. And then you've got a few seconds to go to Joseph Mahar, who we've not spoken about yet tonight, but still running pretty decently in P18.
Yeah, Mahar's got 2 seconds on Kip Easley, that group we were just watching. And it is about 4 seconds off the back of the 96 of Matt Rogers, who is quicker than where he is. Remember, a couple laps ago, he spun out going through 1 and 2, ended up backwards, so he's quicker than his position would suggest in that 96.
I like that paint scheme on Matt Rogers' car. The camouflage on one side, the American flag on the other. Pretty sweet.
He's winning your award for favorite paint schemes of the season because he had the Nesquik number 10 earlier this year. Oh boy!
And Jason Clark nearly spoiled it for him right there as he came out the final turn and found Jason Clark sideways. Now,
Clark going into the heavy braking zone, just too much rear brake, nosed it into the inside wall, and then just, believe it or not, there's no grip on the grass. And just couldn't get it going straight.
And here's where you're going to see, Garrett Davis almost getting hit there by the 58, and there goes Matt Rogers just having to take evasive action to get around him.
Oh, he's Clark's off again in 1.
Yeah.
Almost got run over by Dylan Hastings.
Yeah, and Warren Keith was right there as well. And that has helped Ryan Thomas close the gap a little bit on the 88. As Dustin Reeves taken to the grass to get out of the way. Just good call.
May as well. You don't want to do it exactly that way, but hey.
But this is where it's going to get interesting. We said this on Tuesday, it's where we're going to get interesting as we're seeing James Kunkel off the track.
Oh boy, 3-1. Oh, I'm on replay.
Okay, no one. As here comes Ryan Thomas up to the back of Jason Clark now as they come to the second to last corner. And Clark going to go a bit defensive here, which is not the recommended thing to do when leaders are coming up on you.
Yeah, no, Warren Keith about to hit the line right now. This is going to start lap 15. So the caution should come out. Again, it's going to be at the end of lap 15, then caution didn't come out. So it'll be the end of lap 15 here. So one more lap to go until the caution.
Yeah, we've got one running wide there. That is... we've got one having a big problem there on the exit of the corner. I'm not sure who that was.
Didn't see it.
I think it might have been Garrett Davis. No, it might have been. I don't know. As we're going back to leader Warren Keith, and has had a very easy start to the race there, as that almost ended in tears again for him.
Ryan is L going off.
Is everybody just getting scared when the leaders come up and then just run off track just to avoid people? I mean,
you don't want to be that guy who holds up the leader, but then again, you also don't want to be that guy to wreck the leader. So it's a fine line.
As Warren Keith comes through the final two set of corners, and this should see the competition caution come out on the track right now. As he comes down towards the line, he'll take an inside line, cross the line, and the caution should fly right now. Race control, Michael Sheffield.
There is your competition caution.
Yep. But this should square everybody up again. And this is where... Sorry.
No, it's not technically a stage, but if you want to say Warren Keith won the first stage, then we'll go with that.
Well, the stage break is on lap 30, so, well, the end of lap 30, so...
It's an unofficial stage, we'll call it that.
Yeah. Let's run through your top 10 right now as the competition caution comes out. Warren Keith is your leader. Second place is Ryan Thomas. Third is Trevor Massetti. In fourth place is Richard Swaverley. Rounding out your top five is that man right there, Mr. Dominic Lee. Austin Shoemaker occupies sixth place, with Steve Kerpel having a great race for himself in the M&M's machine, running P7. Dakota Curtis recovering back to P8 after an early incident. P9 is the points leader Garrett Brown, and Daniel Holcroft holding the last spot in the top 10.
Yeah, and this competition caution again, as you could imagine, just to bring everybody back together, not get anyone's hopes completely lost here, as Matt Rogers should be the one getting the lucky dog, as he was the last car, the first car not on the lead lap, running in P18. So
it's just come out of pit road.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So the first driver a lap down, I believe, is Jason Clark, so he might get the lucky dog.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So yes.
As Jason Clark goes completely off the track.
As you do.
And I don't believe they still haven't caught the pace car yet, so this could take a while.
The leaders caught them at the top of the hill.
Okay, there you go. There it is.
Pitch should be open here this time by. I would expect the leaders in.
That would be the theory anyway, as we're looking at them making their way through the bus stop chicane here. Now, what are we expecting for a restart here on a road course here, Frank? Are we expecting single file or double file, do you reckon?
I assume double. I haven't heard otherwise, so I would have to assume double.
Yeah.
Give yourself one last chance to look and see if you got your pit settings all properly squared away.
Yeah. And there's been that many incidents so far here tonight that my timing and scoring just cannot keep up with it. I'm looking through the events here, and it's like I'm having to scroll down through lists of things going on as Brian Fine... Oh! We've had an incident here.
That was Clint Leatherwood in the back there. I don't know if he was messing around or what happened, but he came out of the carousel, I think, with a little too much steam, almost ran over the back of the 00 and had to take to the grass.
Take a look and see what happened here. Yeah, almost ran to the back of Parker Bland. And Brian Fine had an incident as well, as we've got wholesale pit stops going on right now as we go back to back live. And Warren Keith has got Ryan Thomas right on his rear bumper there as they come down to their pit stalls.
Give you the best chance to get out of pit lane first. Be right on him. And these guys are 1, 2, and 3, and I think Thomas was the first one to stop.
That he was. And they're going to take
a quicker stop.
There we go. All three out in sync.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. They all left exactly the same time.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And Massetti's crew, it looked, and just by watching the cars go up and down, Massetti's crew really made up a lot of time on the right side, because he was a little slow on the lefts, and he was by far and away the last one to go up on the rights, and he went down pretty much the same time as the other guys did. So good job for the pit crew there.
As we're looking at the whole field there, making their way through the bus stop. That is a fantastic camera shot. Oh my god, I wasn't expecting that.
Nice wave there.
I know, right? Sometimes you get a lot of satisfaction for the things you do, right?
You get lucky sometimes.
As they come through the carousel, I'm not sure if the lights are off on the pace car yet. We'd have to go all the way.
They are not. Yeah. This would be the lap where the lap cars would be pitting, and I think one more. So I think we got at least 2 more behind the pace car.
We have a total of 6 cars behind the pace car. Christopher Fail being the last one, just behind. I believe that is Kip Easley. No, it's not Kip Easley. That is Clint Leatherwood. Yes, it is.
It is Leatherwood. So I believe now the lappers will be coming into pit road here.
Yep, and that is Jason Clark leading them down pit road right now as the lap traffic coming down. And you can see the stricken number 4 machine of Chris Shoemaker. And that's another very pretty paint scheme on the number 4. Just a shame it just had to end his night like it did. Look at that wicked paint scheme, and that's not a pun intended.
It is very nice, and the safety light, the lights are off on the safety car, so it'll be going green this time.
Yep, as we look at Warren Keith's paint scheme. Now, for those that are just joining us, if you put in the chat, and if you're literally just joining us, tell us what paint scheme that reminds you of, or what sport that paint scheme comes from. And you would be correct. I don't have any prizes, so, you know.
And you would be correct.
You will get my love and attention for the rest of the broadcast.
Aw, that's worth it right there. If nothing else, that's worth it.
Now you're just patronizing me. Anyway.
I didn't think it was that obvious. I'm sorry.
So, lights are off on the pace car. We are ready to go racing once again on lap 20 of 60. That means we're going to have 11 laps of racing before they bring out before the end of the stage. That's when we'll take our break for that one, while we run to the bathroom and do everything we need to do before the start of the second half of the race. But this 11-lap dash now, Ryan Thomas and Trevor Massetti need to do something here in order to try and get that lead away from Warren Keith. Otherwise, they're just going to not be able to do anything about it.
I don't know how much, even if they do take the lead, I don't know how much they're going to be able to do about Warren Keith when he gets those tires up to temperature. We've seen how wild the 32 can be. I think Warren Keith actually did it right by pinning the 3 behind the 48, behind the 32, pardon me, knowing how prone to slipping the 32 is.
pace car is off. We are going to go racing once again. Green flag will fly, and Warren Keith going to lead them down towards turn 1 again. Everybody is still running apart from Chris Shoemaker, and in towards turn 1 here. As everybody again making it very safely around turn 1. So everybody have probably been warned during the drivers meeting that you need to be careful going into turn 1, otherwise it's going to end in tears, and I think everybody took heed from that.
I've got one phrase that's going through my mind right now when you say that, and that's no heroics and descend of up, please.
Yeah.
Please tell me you get the reference.
Roman Grosjean, that's all I'm going to say. As they come out of the carousel.
What's enough?
As they come out of the carousel up towards the second to last corner. And Warren Keith's going to extend his lead again. He's already up almost a second ahead of Ryan Thomas. Thomas not able to do anything. Still managing to stay ahead of Trevor Massetti, and Swavely looking a lot closer this time than the US Air Force number 60.
Yeah, Swavely got a, with the benefit of Warren Keith getting the restart that he got, Richard Swavely got a good one as well. He had gotten ahead of Massetti going into 1, but Massetti had the line on the inside, was able to take it back. That 60, at least on fresh tires, looks like he has the pace to keep up with these guys.
Up through the S's for the first time, for the second time since the green. We got 10 laps to go, and we've got problems there for James Kunkel, as he's had an issue somewhere, and there goes sorry, there goes Steve Coppell. Yeah. So Steve Coppell getting around James Kunkel, and Kunkel going to go a lap down again, another lap down, I believe. So they come out of the carousel again. Warren Keith now starting to be caught by Ryan Thomas. Thomas has realised that he needs to do something now if he wants to get those stage points heading towards the playoffs in 2 weeks' time. This stage break is going to be crucial for these guys that are already locked in.
It certainly is, and Ryan Thomas right now has the most stage points, has the most playoff points. He has 11. With the win last week, winning a stage last week, Warren Keith has 6. So this is big for the driver of the.
Sorry,
I've just driver of the 88.
I've just seen Massetti runs really badly wide out of turn 1. And that's lost him third place behind Richard Swavely. So Massetti making a mistake here, and that's cost him the podium as it stands right now. How will he respond from this one? He's right on the tail of Swavely as they come through the bus stop here. This is going to get pretty heated here. Massetti wasn't happy after being taken out late last week. Probably not going to be happy after that mistake just there.
Yeah, he's got time to recover from it. Not only that, but he does have that stage caution coming up here just momentarily. Also, while we were watching the battle up front, Dakota Curtis locked the brakes up going through this corner right here that Massetti and Swavely are going through right now. Locked the brakes up, hit the inside wall, went into the grass, and then called it an evening from there. So Dakota Curtis is done.
Yeah, and I spoke to him earlier today, and he said he was having problems with the road course and just struggling to find a rhythm in the pre-race practice sessions. And in the free practice sessions, yeah, it's a different dynamic. You can run laps and run laps and run laps in these free practice sessions, but in a race it's a different dynamic. You need to be on the button all the time, and unfortunately with Dakota Curtis struggling to find a rhythm even in practice, it's really gotten even more worse for him in the race.
And it's unfortunate because he did have a car that was quick on merit. So it's very unfortunate for Dakota Curtis that he's had the consistency problems that he's had. And we've got 2 nice battles forming here. Swavely and Massetti for third, and Keith and Thomas for the lead, as Ryan Thomas refuses to let that 88 of Warren Keith get away.
Yeah, he does as they come out of the final turn. Big wiggle for Thomas. Wow. 7 laps to go here before the stage break. Ryan Thomas now losing a bit of time to Warren Keith, and Trevor Massetti losing a bit of time to Swavely out of the final turn as well. So Let's hope those battles don't fizzle out as quickly as that happened just there, as Thomas now is trying his best to try and get back to the rear end of Warren Keith right now.
Garrett Brown with a slide coming out of turn one, slid, hit the inside wall. I was just about to say he's fighting with Parker Bland pretty hard for that 7th position. Unfortunately, a rare mistake for Garrett Brown in the 19.
Take a look at that, and yeah, big mistake there. Oh, he smacked the wall and knocked over the blue cone for good measure.
See, a little bit behind that, Kip Beasley on Ray Rogers. Well, Ray Rogers, pardon me, on Kip Beasley for position going into the bus stop chicane. That was for 13th position.
Yeah. So Rogers up to P13. He's down 5 spots from where he started. The biggest mover so far here tonight is this man right here in the Vodafone Mustangs, up 16 spots in P11 right now. So Brian Fine is flying right now.
Yeah, and this is another thing about, there's 2 ways you can have success on a road course. Number 1, raw pace, and number 2, just waiting for the people in front of you to make a mistake and then just capitalizing on those mistakes. And Brian Fine has done a fantastic job tonight of doing both. As you can see how much curb Garrett Brown takes going into turn 1, fighting to stay in that top 10.
Yeah, and that damage on his car will not be helping him at all in that number 51. As they come up through the S's and down the backstretch here, you see Joseph Mahar. Now, we mentioned him earlier in the race, a bit further down the pack. He's made his way up to P9 now, running in the top 10. Still has Garrett Brown behind him. Garrett Brown still showing a bit of pace there, but again, that damage not going to be helping him at all.
Yeah, no, this is a part of the race where now, until you can get to that pit stop, again, there's 2 ways you can drive these tracks. Either drive it like you stole it, or focus on the line. This is one of those where you focus on the line and just nurse it back to that stage caution to get yourself repaired.
We have a massive battle here for 5th place here between Steve Coppell and Dominic Lee, as Dominic Lee sends it down the inside there into turn 1. Is that going to hurt him? No, it's not. A fantastic move there. Dominic Lee sending it down into turn 1, taking away that 5th place from the number 18.
It drove it in there deep and parked right on the apex, and unfortunately for Kerpel, his car was already pointed towards the apex of that corner, had to slow down. Otherwise, he was going to run right over the 30. Good move by the 30 to make it stick.
Yep, and they are about 7 seconds off the back of Richard Swavely, and Massetti did get by the number 60 eventually. So Massetti going to set off in search for Ryan Thomas, who's still right on the back of Warren Keith and not letting him get away, with 5 to go, coming to 4 to go at the line.
You can just see, compare the 2 lines between the 88 and the 32. It's night and day. Warren Keith looks so smooth and composed, and Ryan Thomas just looks like he's driving the wheels off of that thing with how wild that car is.
Yeah, as they make their way up through the S's again, Keith just showing a lot of pace. This seems to be the part where Warren Keith is the fastest, to be fair. On the faster parts of the track, Keith seems to be showing a lot of pace, but on the slower parts, and may I remind you, there are a few of them, and this is one of the few slow parts of the track, Ryan Thomas seems to have the edge over Warren Keith there, so a lot of back and forth between these two.
Yeah, and that's Keith certainly does look a lot more comfortable and composed when the tires start to warm up, and he's not sliding around nearly as much, getting the heat into those tires. Ryan Thomas, he's very good. We've seen him over the last couple weeks at New Hampshire, and then last week at Richmond. 2 tracks with heavy braking zones where you kind of have to drive like a road course. He's been very solid, but again, right there, going into the final corner, back end kicks out. A little too much rear brake, a little too hard, and that's going to cost him some time.
Yeah, as Trevor Massetti has got away from Richard Swavely. Let's go to Dominic Lee and Steve Coppell, and that's fizzled out as well. Parker Bland running pretty comfortably in P7 in the Aaron's number 00, not running his usual funky paint scheme here this week. He's gone for a pretty generic one this time around.
Yeah, and it's a nice change. It's a nice little Aaron's car on the 00, and sitting in a place right now, kind of in a bubble on his own. He's got a little ways to go before the car in front. He's quicker than Daniel Holcroft behind him by a decent margin. So he's in a comfortable little spot. Again, another guy who is safely in the playoffs. He won back at Indianapolis the week before we took over for these guys. So Parker Bland just riding it out now.
Yeah, and Parker Bland, obviously, he's sitting in the top 10. He will get stage points for this one, so that will help him towards the playoffs. Again, the playoffs beginning in 2 weeks' time, and definitely going to be one to look forward to. I believe that first race in the playoffs is at Dover.
Yep.
And there is a lot of talk about that first race in the playoffs being probably the most treacherous out of the three they have. As there goes Parker Bland, losing it almost through the final turn there, hitting the grass.
Yep, and it's, again, just swung the car out a little too wide. And as I mentioned, there's no grip on that grass, and boy, he did a great job of saving that car coming through the final corner.
And this is why he's a race winner already this season. He knows how to control that car and keep it pointed in the right direction. One person that is struggling right now is Garrett Brown, as he's now under pressure from Joseph Mahar and from Brian Fine as they come up through the S's. Now 2 laps to go before the stage caution. Garrett Brown just needs to hold on. Another driver that's looking for stage points with the playoffs in mind. And Mahar and Fine are right there, as Brown still struggling with that damage on the right side of his car.
Yeah, and Garrett Brown right now, I believe the overall points leader on the season, has been for quite some time. So these Garrett Brown is the overall points leader. So Brown, again, he does have a race win as well at Michigan. So not only leading on points, but also safely in on a win.
Yeah. And like I said, with Parker Bland, oh no, he gets it all wrong for the final turn. And that's going to cost him those vital playoff points as they come down to the final turn, as he now finds himself in P11, might be P12 if Ray Rogers can get up to him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Rogers is going to have the oomph to get up to him, as we've only got Warren Keith is going through the carousel right now onto the straightaway to complete this stage.
Yeah, as here he comes through the final 2 turns now, and again Warren, they had an opportunity to try and get him on after the competition caution, but not been the case. Warren Keith has just been unbeatable so far as he comes out of the final turn down towards the line. Caution should fly, and we will have our stage break, and that will be it, and as we hit the halfway point in this race. So with that in mind, let's take a look at your running order right now as we bring up the ticker once again. Warren Keith is your stage winner, Ryan Thomas in second, Trevor Massetti in third, Richard Swaverley in fourth, Dominic Lee with the top 5 there, Steve Kerpel in P6, 7th is Parker Bland, crucial stage points for him. Daniel Holcroft in P8, P9 going to Joseph Mahar, having a fantastic race. I think this is the first time we've seen him in the top 10 since he joined the league. And then Brian Fine having a few connection problems there in P10. Well, that is going to do it for the first stage here tonight. We're going to step away for just a moment as they get things figured out here. We'll be right back as we get ready to start stage 2. Do not go anywhere. And we're back live here at Watkins Glen. Sorry, I had to deal with a couple of technical issues, but we are back live here at Watkins Glen. Everybody going to make it around turn one safely. And Frank, this is where it gets interesting now. People are going to have to start racing a bit harder if they want to get up to this man, Warren Keith. But Trevor Massetti already making the right moves here. He's managed to jump Ryan Thomas on the restart.
Yep, and remember, as I said at the beginning of the broadcast, Warren Keith had mentioned after last week's race that Massetti's going to be really the guy to watch after himself. So now that Massetti sprung free away from Ryan Thomas, it'll be interesting to see if Keith's prediction comes to fruition.
Yeah, as they come out of the carousel right now, Massetti in second, third is Ryan Thomas, fourth is Richard Swavely. Dominic Lee not too far behind in P6. He's getting away from Steve Capelli, who's so finds himself under pressure from Parker Bland as they come through the second to last corner now. So everybody will be bunched up for this first part of the race as we bring up the ticker once again, and as we're back on the green here. And Keith is not hanging around here. He's already a second ahead of Massetti now.
Yeah, and Keith and Massetti were both fighting pretty hard throughout the entirety of that first lap until Massetti was able to get that little bit of a gap. Keith has checked out, and he's going to look to do that because he knows exactly who is on his rear bumper now.
Yeah, as they come through the bus stop here, and Massetti really flying through there, not letting anything go to chance here as he comes out of the bus stop. We're looking at Massetti, Thomas, Swavely not far behind, and Dominic Lee now going to chase down the 60. And Dominic Lee has been slowly picking up momentum as this race has gone on. We saw him in that battle earlier with Steve Kerpel. Now, as his sights set on that number 60 of Swavely as he looks to move his way up further.
Yeah, and he just clipped the grass on entry into that corner, slid the back end out just a little bit, didn't lose too much time, lost a lot more time actually sliding through that last corner there. So Lee tried to hold on to that fifth spot. He's got a nice little gap, a nice little cushion between himself and the 18 to do that, and the 18 has Parker Bland right on him.
Yeah, as they come up through the S's again, we have 24 laps to go here at Watkins Glen. Daniel Holcroft back there in that P9 spot as we're going to take a look at Garrett Brown, who's actually made his way back in the top 10 here. That's a big relief there for Garrett Brown actually, because he lost that spot near the end of the stage. Has managed to get it back again and is ahead of Joseph Mahar, who's now on the outside of the top 10, which is probably going to be disappointing for Mahar after all the work he's put in tonight so far.
Yeah, and he got into the top 10 because remember, Garrett Brown made a mistake with a couple laps to go in that stage, and he was able to get around the 19 of Brown was Mahar. So Mahar kind of right where he was now, focusing more on his rearview mirror as Ray Rogers is coming up on him now. Yeah,
there is Ray Rogers right behind him. And they are just a few car lengths ahead of this man. Justin Hendry has picked up his pace here. He's in P12, just ahead of Matt Rogers in the camouflage and American flag number 96. As we go back to
somebody was stopped there. I think it might have been, it's Daniel Holcroft.
Oh, and Justin! Big crash! Big crash, and that was Matt Rogers involved in that one. Holcroft going off there, and that, even if it's a sim, that will shake you to your core.
Yeah, that's one where you're like, oh, geez, and there's the 19. We were just talking about it. The 26 got loose coming off the curb, coming out of the first turn, and then just hit the gas too hard, spun the rear tires around, and slung the front end of the car right into the racing line, and Matt Rogers had nowhere to go. And Rogers is done.
Yeah, he got launched into that. Yeah. I think he got... when Holcroft left the track there, Garrett Brown was right behind him and kind of literally helped him into the barrier there a little bit.
Yeah, and there was really nothing that Brown could do because the 26 was right there and got again as he got loose off the curb and just ran into the back of him, and that sent the 26 to where he was in the grass at the end of that Armco barrier, and then just getting back on track, just too much power.
Sim racing or real life, that even if it's sim racing, that looked violent, that crash.
Yeah, that's a really hard hit, and here's Matt Rogers with no idea what's about to happen to him, and just pow.
Yeah, and that's pure Armco, that is. That's no safer barrier, there's nothing safety about it, that's just pure aluminium Armco. I don't think it's even aluminium.
With the way Armco is set up, it's set up with the wooden posts at the back, and if you watch certain wrecks, you can see those Armco barriers do give a little bit, like the one at I believe the Steve Park Dale Jr. wreck at Pocono in 2001 is a perfect example of the Armco barrier giving. So it's not like a concrete wall. That thing does have a lot of give, and it will bend and break with you. Unfortunately, that's not replicated in the sim.
Daniel Holcroft is up and running once again, I believe. Yeah, there he is coming through the carousel. No front end on the... Well, he's got a very bent up front end, but... I mean... Probably not going to be happy with how his race has come about now, as he's now outside the top 10, down in P18. He was running comfortably in the top 10 before that happened, and probably going to be ruining that little mistake there.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for him. He's had a solid race going to this point.
Looking at Dominic Lee right now coming out of the carousel, as we see Steve Coppell starting to close the gap between himself and the 30. So Coppell's not done with that Envision Ford.
No, Kerpel was about a 1/10.5 to 2/10 quicker, and another big slide from Dominic Lee. Sliding again, sliding some more. He's got too much rear brake in that thing. That's about all I can say, is he's got too much rear brake in that thing.
Yeah, and that's let Steve Coppell in as they come down towards the first corner. And now what can the 18 do here? Obviously, and I'm going to say thank you to Steve, because he's actually running an M&M's paint scheme in the right car. So I'm going to say a big thank you to Steve Coppell. And speaking of Steve Coppell, yeah, speaking of which, Steve Coppell, league owner, obviously commissioner actually of the MPI Cup Series, had a nice meeting with him earlier, and I can actually announce that we will be back with these guys in January for Season 3.
And we could not be happier, and hopefully we'll be back on the iRacing portal as well.
Oh, we will.
In January with these guys, and just beyond excited for next season with these guys. They put on a great show this year. Can't wait to see what they can do next year.
I mean, they're putting on a great show now, and this is a road course.
Yeah, very fair. Yes.
For those that are just joining us on Facebook, we apologise for the technical issues that caused the first stream to quote-unquote break. But we are back live again on Facebook, so if you want to tune into that side of things, then we are up and running once again. So once again, we profusely apologise, but we have fixed that problem now, so we are live on Facebook once again.
And fortunately, so they're a good race brewing here for the last 18 laps, 19 laps of this race here.
You could say that, as we're looking at Garrett Brown, still trying to make his way around the track. Obviously had somewhat of an involvement of that big incident between Holcroft and Matt Rogers. And obviously that's elevated him up to P8 now. He's got Ray Rogers right. But look at this battle, though. Ray Rogers and Garrett Brown. Usually you see those two fighting each other at the front. Now they're fighting each other for the last spots in the top 10.
Yeah, and for Garrett Brown, this is really nothing new for Garrett Brown. He's just consistently hanging around in the top 10. That's how he's got the lead in the points. He's got a 12-point lead that might come down a lot more now with Ryan Thomas being in third. Might actually flip-flop after tonight's race. But this is really nothing new for Garrett Brown. If anything, it's new for Ray Rogers, who really, since the Texas race that he won earlier this season, he's been up at the front battling for race wins and battling for the lead all race long. So if anything, this is more out of character for the 51.
Yeah, it is, as we're still looking at Brown. Just running this own race, and Ray Rogers starting to get a bit jumpy now as he's right on the back of the 19 as they come up through the S's. They're very quickly getting away from Joseph Mahar. Mahar won't mind too much because he's probably going to be happy with where he is, especially being 6 seconds ahead of Garrett Davis right now as they come down towards the bus stop chicane. Ray Rogers taking a small little look there, but not close enough.
Yeah, no, there was really nothing there, hoping just to try to knock the 19 off his line, because that 19 is trying to find speed, and we've seen a couple times this lap where he's just completely blown the apex. And so, I mean, that, if I were Rogers, I would be peeking out, not necessarily to make a move, but just more to get the 19 off his line and to try to force him into a mistake that way.
17 laps to go here at Watkins Glen. Warren Keith is still your leader. 3.5, well, nearly 4 seconds up the road from Trevor Massetti. And for those that missed the restart, Trevor Massetti getting a massive jump on Ryan Thomas there on that restart and promoting himself up to second place. But Ryan Thomas has not let him get away here, Frank.
No, it's the benefit of starting in third, and that's exactly what Trevor Massetti was able to take. He started in that third position. Oh, it just runs right over Dylan Hastings.
I think Thomas got a piece of that as well, didn't he?
He might have. If anything, it was just a slight little glance. But that, he just ran right over that 41, and now he's got the 2 in another heavy braking zone. The 2 clears out of the way.
I'm going to take another look at that as they come out of the bus stop chicane there. You can see, boom. And yeah, Thomas did get a piece of that because Hastings was going round and Thomas just helped him the rest of the way.
I mean, that's a situation where Hastings could hold it a little bit tighter coming out of the bus stop, because the line is high and then it goes to the middle and then comes off for the exit. So that's a situation I think where Hastings could have probably done a little bit more, but still that one's close as to whether or not he should have been getting out of the way there.
As we're still focused on this battle between Massetti and Thomas as they come down towards the bus stop once again. Thomas right there and looking like he might want to make a pass for the bus stop of all places, and he does it through the outside of the exit.
Wow.
Great move for Ryan Thomas.
That's a power move aided by the 48 again. The 3, aided by the 3 pushing wide through the center of the bus stop, carrying too much speed on entry into that bus stop. And now here comes Massetti back on him through turn 6, not able to get it done. Swing as wide as he can, and the 32 is actually coming into pit road. So the 32 money stop right here, lap 45, give him 15 laps to the end.
Yeah, man, he's got to make that final pit stop. He's not going to get the overcut done on Warren Keith because Keith is already 5 seconds up the road as it is. But Massetti, that is where his battle lies right now, and he's going to think that he might try and get the undercut on the 3 here.
Yep, Thomas, the first one off to pit road. So you're right. If Massetti wants to cover off and try to stay in front of that 32 or get in front of that 32, he's got to push like hell right now and then come in at the end of this lap. Formula One strategy works in all forms of racing. If you want to try to keep your position, you got to cover him off here.
Massetti rejoins just behind the 00 Parker Bland as they come up through the exit. So fresher tyres might mean a better run than Bland as they come out of the up towards the bus stop as Bland just trying to get out of the way. Just so yeah, you carry on. I'm just gonna go this side.
Yeah, you got this, bud. You're good. And now here comes Massetti coming through the last corner. He will stay out, so he still thinks his tires are good enough. But that 32 is going to have one heck of a run. He's mired in a lot of traffic, though. This would have been the perfect time for Massetti to come in and try to get out in front of this group.
Yeah, this isn't like the Formula One race from this morning, guys. You can't run these down to slicks because they're already slicks.
Now Thomas has broken free of that pack that he was in. Cost him quite a bit of time, though, as Massetti heading up to the bus stop, getting into some traffic of his own. It's the 5 of Ryan Ezell in front of him.
No front end of that Chevy.
Nope, and Ezell clears out of the way. Lets that 3 go by.
Yeah, as they come up towards the final 2 corners. Let's see if Massetti does bring a pit side. It looks like Warren Keith stays out. Massetti going to bring it through the final 2 corners. Does he decide to stay out? It looks like he might. He's taking a much wider line than you'd expect from a person that would stay out. Swavely staying out as well.
Nope, Swavely in.
Oh, that's a surprise.
Swavely in. Lee coming through the final corner now. He's staying out.
So Swavely making the call to come down pit road and get some fresh radials on that number 60. As Warren Keith now out to an 8-second lead. He's doing a Lewis Hamilton right here.
Yeah, trying to stick it out as long as he can. Give himself the freshest tires so he can ride as hard as he can for the end of the race. Now, Ryan Thomas, is going to have to save a little bit of tire if he wants to get that advantage over Trevor Massetti. Now, the question is going to be, how far behind Thomas is Massetti going to be, and will he have enough time to catch up and pass him?
Ray Rogers, Parker Bland, and I believe Kip Easley have just been in pit road as well. No, not Kip Easley. Swavely is out of pit road.
Coming in pit road.
Yeah. As we're looking at Massetti again, coming for the final 2 corners. Let's see if he decides to bring it down this time.
Yep, he's in this time, yep.
So here we go. This is the battle on pit road between between Trevor Massetti and Ryan Thomas. Can Thomas get that jump on the 3?
It's about a 29-second gap between the 2 coming into the pits, coming into Massetti's pit stop. Thomas is coming out of the final corner now.
That's pretty academic at this point.
Yeah. Now it's going to be, is Massetti going to be close enough? And it doesn't look like he's going to be. And that's the danger right there of staying out too long and not covering him off, because if he would have come in with Ryan Thomas, or at least the lap after, he would be a heck of a lot closer than he is right now.
Yeah, and his last 9 seconds to Thomas because of that.
Yeah, and that was, those 2 were right with each other coming into the pits. So, well, when Thomas peeled off, Warren Keith, the leader, into pit road here with 11 laps to go when they hit the line.
So your race leader in pit road, and Brian Fine, through all the pit stops that have been going on, has been promoted up to 2nd place, and you see Fine there just coming up to the 2nd to last corner. Warren Keith only just making his way into pit road. If you saw on that last screen there who was right behind Brian Fine, it's this man, Ryan Thomas, coming through the final 2 corners. Is he going to get the jump on Warren Keith? Let's try and find out here as he comes out the final turn. Warren Keith is still only putting right sides on here. Left sides on. Ryan Thomas is going to take the lead.
Slow pit road. Yep, this is a very long, slow pit road. I believe it's only 30 miles an hour down pit road. Oh, 45 miles an hour. Wow, that was quicker than I thought it was. Speed's gone up over the last couple of years. But still, this is a very long pit road to get around here. And Thomas got the undercut on these guys. Boy, it just shows how powerful the undercut is here. But Warren Keith has about 5 or 6 lap fresher tires. He's going to be able to push a lot harder than Thomas come the end of this.
Yeah, but Ryan Thomas is going to have to be careful now. Keith has been absolutely unbeatable so far here tonight, so Thomas is going to have to do some battling here if he wants to stay ahead of that number 88. Trevor Massetti, we saw him in the shot as well as they were coming up to the bus stop before. Not exactly making inroads right now. He's a full 8 seconds. He's a full 8 seconds behind the leader. And he is slowly closing the gap, though. Massetti's not letting this die down, as we're only 10 laps to go at the line.
No, he's not going to. 10 to go.
Yeah.
As he certainly is not going to. And Thomas right now is a 1.6 second lead over Warren Keith. And he's fairly clear over Massetti, who's 5.5 seconds back. But still, Thomas is going to be driving out of his rearview mirror here very, very shortly. If not this lap, definitely next lap, as Warren Keith is on a mission.
Yeah, Keith wants that lead back, and you can see they are almost right together now as the gap is less than 10 seconds. Keith has taken that from 1.6 down to 0.7 of a second as they come for the bus stop there. They're coming up on Kip Easley. Now, is Kip Easley going to be the defining factor as to whether Keith can get his lap back as they come out of the carousel? And Keith is already looking for a pass here. This is amazing driving from the 88.
Warren Keith's going to take that thing out of party mode now, I think is what the problem is. As Ryan Thomas, again, that just shows the age difference of the tires. And yes, the age difference makes a difference. Here on the road course, you can see just how much that 32 is slipping and sliding through those last two corners. He's going to give Keith the outside. Keith on fresher tires takes the dive inside lane. 32 jumps the curb. 88 takes the lead around the outside.
Big power move there by Warren Keith up to the lead once again, and Ryan Thomas could do absolutely nothing about it as Keith just powered it around the outside of turn one.
It certainly didn't help that the 32 had run completely over that inside curb, getting that car really upset. And Keith, from there, it was easily done for the 88 of Keith. And now with how quickly Thomas fell back to Keith, gained 1.6 seconds and turned that into a 10th advantage. Oh, that's Clark! No!
Oh no, Warren Keith having problems there with Jason Clark.
Clark went off at the exit of the carousel, and Keith ran into him when he came back on circuit.
Let's take another look and see what happened here as you see Jason Clark coming through the carousel, did go offline, did go through the grass, and here comes Warren Keith right behind him, and Keith did make slight contact with Clark there.
Keith's on the inside going into one right now, so Keith didn't hurt him too bad. He's right back to the race lead, and the 32 again through that final corner with a lot of wheel spin, a lot of slide to that number 32.
Yeah, and Thomas not letting it lie down. He's going to stay right on the back of them as they come through the S's there, and Ryan Thomas almost losing it on the exit of the S's. Just really being aggressive there, trying to stick with that 88 now as they come through the bus stop.
And with all this fighting, that's brought Trevor Massetti up from 6.5 seconds to 4.5 seconds behind these guys. So Massetti is really hoping these guys fight it out. But I think Thomas's rear tires have said, I've had all I can stand. I can't stand no more.
I was going to make a joke about that, but anyway, we continue on. 8 laps to go, about to be 7 laps to go as Ryan Thomas is falling off the boil and gets it all wrong through the second to last corner, and that's let Trevor Massetti close the gap even more to the 32. It's all starting to fall apart now for Ryan Thomas.
Yeah, and that's Thomas trying too hard to get back up to Warren Keith. I know it's not the fun way to race, but sometimes you got to race a lot smarter and smoother. Focus on the line, and the speed will come. That's what's helping Trevor Massetti right now. That speed is coming because he's focusing on the line. It's also helping a lot that Ryan Thomas is having as many issues as he has, pushing as hard as he is.
Yeah, Massetti getting the draft off the back, I believe, of
the 2 of Culver.
Yeah, Derek Culver is that lovely Miller scheme has just been redesigned, so to speak.
If you want to see it a little bit better, go to the 15. It's Barstool Sports, but still same basic concept.
Yeah, there it is. I don't know, I think I like Culver's better.
It's the same thing.
I know, but you know, the aerodynamics that he has on the car now, it makes it look better.
Speaking of the 15, he's got a battle now with Mahar as they're hitting lap traffic heading into the chicane. Oh boy.
And Mahar just takes it away. Hendry almost getting into the side of the 15 there.
And Mahar overshot the back end of that chicane. Back end of the bus stop. May have been a little bit of contact there.
Looks like Austin Shoemaker tried to move him there.
It certainly did.
As they come out of the carousel, and Austin Shoemaker will find himself back in the top 10 now at the behest of Joseph Mahar, now with 6 laps to go. Oh, this is getting down to the final knockings of this race, as Warren Keith now out to a 2-second lead ahead of Ryan Thomas, and Thomas he can't settle down. He's only got a 2-second gap ahead of the 3 of Trevor Massetti, who is absolutely zoned in on that 32 right now.
A little bit less, actually, is Massetti on the 32 of Ryan Thomas. Look a little bit further behind that. A battle for 5th place brewing as 6th place brewing, as Steve Kerpel trying to hold off the number 98 of Brian Fine, who, remember, came in on the same lap as Warren Keith, so he's got some pretty fresh tires in that 98.
Yeah, the 98. Vodafone machine. Sorry, I was distracted for a second then. Right behind the M&M's number 18, and obviously Brian Fine, teammate to Warren Keith for SKM, would love to get a top 5 here. Obviously, Dominic Lee's a bit too well. He's only 6 seconds up the road, so he's not that far ahead.
Yeah, no, Lee is by himself though. That's the major difference between Kerpel and Fine and Dominic Lee, is those two are running together. Lee is on his own. Richard Swavely's on a planet of his own, going through the bus stop right now. And then it's Massetti and Ryan Thomas, who now Dylan Hastings is going to make that interesting, as there goes Hastings off after trying to let Ryan Thomas go through, and now Massetti pretty much right on the back end of the 32.
You see it right there as they come out of the final turn here. Down towards turn 1, there is Ryan Thomas, there is Trevor Massetti. Your battle for 2nd place here is Massetti, that back end stepping out, almost getting it wrong there and losing more time there to the 32.
He's getting excited, a little bit too much rear brake, a little too hard on the brakes there from the 3. Getting a little too excited. This is the closest he's been to that number 32 since coming out of the pit stops. He can sense that position is up for the taking. He wants it with only 3.5 to go.
Not a problem there for James Conkle. We saw him on the stuck in the Armco when he the leaders when Thomas and Massetti were passing by, and he had that glitch where it literally buried him into the Armco, so he had to tow that one, unfortunately.
That stinks.
Yeah. As we're looking at Massetti, he lost that time on the exit of turn 1, as we already mentioned, and he's not really tried to close that gap anymore as they come through the final turn.
Well, he's trying.
Oh yeah.
So don't let that fool you. He's trying. There's some blessing though coming up, as there are a couple of lap cars ahead of the 32 here with 3 laps to go. So there is still a hope for the 3 if he could just keep it on the track and keep it smooth.
Yep. They're coming through the S's there. Massetti still keeping Ryan Thomas very honest with 3 laps to go here at Watkins Glen. Warren Keith looking pretty odds on for his 2nd race win in a row here, as he comes out of the bus stop just behind Parker Bland, who's about to go a lap down for the first time tonight. As they
Parker Bland.
Sorry.
Oh. Parker Bland and Clint Leatherwood both racing for position. That's 14th and 13th ahead of him, and now Keith has split those 2 up, so I wouldn't expect Leatherwood to put up too much of a fight now that he knows the car behind him is not for position.
Yeah, while Keith was making his way around the lap traffic, he's actually lost a bit of time to Ryan Thomas as they come for the final turn here. Thomas actually taking a lot more easier through the final turn now. He realizes that if he starts pushing it like he did when he was battling with Warren Keith, he's not going to have that 2nd place for long. So I'm guessing he must have just realized, like, look, I just need to take it easy, and this 2nd place is mine.
Yeah, he's been sliding that back again this entire run, and now Massetti's trying to do what he can to catch up to the 32 of Thomas. He's starting to slide the back end really for the first time in this race. Still a 2.5 separate Thomas and Massetti with just a lap and a half to go.
Yeah, lap and a half to go indeed as they come down the main straight, the backstretch here as they come into the bus stop. Ryan Thomas, though, coming up to the back of the man that nearly took out the leader. That's Jason Clark just ahead of him. And oh!
89 of Christopher Fail pulling into that little opening there to let the leaders go.
Yeah, I think Ryan Thomas just took a piece of that one too. I saw a bit of contact there. I'm sure I saw a hit marker there just as they went past.
Oh, Leatherwood's off in front of Thomas, so this might hold him up. It's the outside. Massetti has the racing line. Thomas gets around him last lap.
Yeah, final lap on this one. White flag in the air. Can Massetti close that gap to Ryan Thomas? The answer will be not at this moment because he's still trying to get around Clinton Leatherwood. Finally gets around him on the exit of turn one. Big slide there by the three, and that's cost him more time there.
Yeah, and that's going to do it. I think the top three right now. After that, the way the three came off of turn one, that pretty much sealed his fate unless Ryan Thomas has a major mistake here in the last half of this lap.
So we're going to go to Warren Keith here, as he has been the man that has been on just unbelievable form.
Massetti off in the chicane.
Yeah, as we're going to go back to the race leader, Warren Keith here. Just been absolutely dominant here tonight. Lost the lead through the pit stops, but got that back very easily. Had an incident after the pits, after he got the lead back. But as soon as he lost it, got it back again straight away and has been in front ever since. And as he comes down to the final turn, going to pick up his second race win of the season here as he comes down to the line. Warren Keith wins at Watkins Glen.
Not quite from pillar to post, but he certainly came really, really close to that. Warren Keith, just a dominating performance here from the word go tonight.
Yeah, and immediately does the usual burnouts on the exit of turn one, as where people usually do it, as we're just going to do a bit of rewinding here because I like to focus on the cars when they're doing the interviews, and Ryan Thomas wrecked his car at the line. So.
It wrecked it intentionally after the race, by the way. He's slinging the back end of that car around right now.
So happy that he finished second? I don't know. Question mark. Oops. Isn't that game?
Yeah, he's turned that thing into a drift car right now. This is what he's doing.
Yeah, and what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to stop
being picky.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just call it good right there. And Warren Keith finishing with a bit of damage on the front of his car. That was from the contact with Clark.
Yep, with Clark. Yep.
So let's go to the interviews for tonight's races. Brilliant finish from everybody. Let's but before I do that, Frank, just talk us your thoughts for the race today.
I thought that this was a really good race. I mean, we talked about a couple of things over the course of during the break. These guys got a lot spread out a lot quicker than I thought they were going to tonight. I thought when we had our little battles in the middle of the race and all throughout the field. So that wasn't the issue tonight. It was a very good, very fun, very clean race had by all, and just a fantastic drive tonight by Warren Keith was really the exclamation point on the night.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to go straight to the interviews right now, and joining Frank in the booth is our race winner, dominant here at Watkins Glen. That's Warren Keith.
Yep, Warren Keith, Frank Marchese, ESPN. You got me?
I got you guys.
Second straight win, and this one was a heck of a lot more convincing than the first. You look to be in tune with this racetrack from the time you got on it.
Yeah, I just love road course racing here. It's so much fun. These heavy stock cars, especially with the V8s, great to have the liveries on board, all the S-Cam cars this week. It was just fun. Had a good rhythm of the track all week, and just came out and knew what we had to do today to put ourselves up there with Ray Rogers and Ryan Thomas.
Did you see your race kind of slip away when you saw Jason Clark come back on the track coming out of the carousel towards the end of that race?
Funny story. I didn't expect him to come back. I saw him go wide, but when he came back, I mean, I was on the breakers as hard as I could, and luckily we made just the slightest bit of contact, nothing too major. But Yeah, second time this week. I guess I can say I've had my life flash before my eyes. But yeah, other than that, I think we just had a great race, and go to next week to Kentucky with a good chip on our shoulder and try to get 3 in a row.
Perfect segue into that. Going into Kentucky next week, final race in the regular season. You've already clinched your spot in the chase with the 2 wins in the last 2 weeks. What's going to be your focus going into Kentucky? Try to keep that momentum high and run for the win, or just know that you're in, put most of your focus to Dover the week after?
Well, I know going in there, we're going to go for their stage 1 win. If we get the stage 1 win, I'll just shut her down after that and ride. But if we decide to go the route that we're not running the best, we'll wait until the second stage and go for a win. So I have 2 cards on the table for next week. But yeah, the main focus is Dover now, just getting laps in there and getting ready for that.
It's nice to have options, isn't it? Anyone you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my other 2 SCAM teammates, Justin Hendry and Brian Fine. Excellent drivers. No, Brian came from the back today. We were talking about it in the chat, and great run for him. I'd like to thank Discount Tire for being on board, and great to have Ford also on board for this weekend with these V8 liveries. And yeah, that's all.
All right, your winner, back-to-back winners here this season, last week at Richmond and here at Watkins Glen. Warren Keith, congratulations, bud.
Thanks, guys.
So that was the race winner, Warren Keith, joining us in the booth right there. Let's go to the man that finished second, and Ryan Thomas. Ryan, very good second place for yourself here tonight, but you didn't have it all your own way. A race-long battle with the 3 of Trevor Massetti there.
Yeah, it seemed like he was always with me wherever I was.
Yeah, it was. It was almost like your shadow here tonight. He was always there with you. But just talk us through that battle you had with him through the pit stops there. You had probably the best pit stop out of everybody near the end there, jumping both Massetti and Keith through the pit stops. Just talk us through what you did differently there. Was it just the raw pace you had afterwards?
I think the fresher tires helped a lot, and them staying out a bunch of laps. Because I was catching 2 seconds a lap on them with the fresh tires. But after they pitted, Warren and Trevor had the better tires.
Yeah, and that just ended with the battle that you guys had, and it was very close right up into the checkered flag. But you came out on top anyway. You finished in second place, and that's got to give you a lot of confidence, especially with the final race of the regular season next week coming up at Kentucky.
Hopefully we can run good there. I should be in the points lead now. But hopefully I don't go back there.
And that it will. It should be a fun race. Well, before I let you go and celebrate there, Ryan, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
I want to give a shout out to my teammates. Because they run a hell of a race too.
All right. Well, Ryan Thomas in the number 32 Lowe's machine coming up in second place here at Watkins Glen. Congratulations, and we'll catch you next week for the season finale at Kentucky. So that was our second place finisher. Now Frank will be with Trevor Massetti now. Frank.
Yep, Trevor Massetti, Frank Marchese, you got me?
I got you.
You had a very good car. Do you think maybe towards the end you probably should have pit a little bit closer to when Ryan pit?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. We were trying to judge it off of Warren and see what he did because I felt like I was keeping pace with him for most of it. And then towards the end, I started to fall off really bad. And I probably should have called it before I did. But worked out in the end, so it's all good.
You got caught in that whole overdriving to try to get that last position towards the end. Was it your tires falling off, or was it just that being anxious trying to get that final position?
Definitely just being anxious. I sent it in a little bit hard into the bus stop and got into Jason Clark, so sorry about that. But yeah, I was just trying to get to Ryan's back bumper to see if I could stick with him, and maybe get some through the last couple corners. But it's all right. I'm happy with third. I got points and sets me up in a good spot for next week.
All right, he certainly does. And going into next week at Kentucky, you are in on points at the moment, somewhat safe, a little close, but nothing to brag about, nothing to relax on. Your focus going into Kentucky obviously is going to be winning the race, but we heard Keith talk about winning the stage. What's your focus on, more winning the race or trying to get at least one stage?
I think honestly, I'm gonna focus on just finishing the race, and we'll see where I end up. But Kentucky's a fun track. I like 3 and 4 because it's abnormal. I feel like so a lot of people don't like it, which in turn makes me like it because then I can learn it better and figure out how to get around people in it. So hopefully, I just finish the race good, and we'll see what happens, I guess.
All right. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate this podium finish?
Yeah, I want to thank Wallbangers, Lucky Dog, all those guys for keeping me sane during this whole race. And Craig, sorry for him because his power went out, so he didn't get to race with us. But he'll come back strong next week, hopefully.
And we certainly hope he does as well. Your third place finisher tonight, Trevor Massetti. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you, guys.
So that was Massetti joining us in the booth there for tonight's interview. And Frank, again, another great race from these guys, and on the road course nonetheless. It's really ramping up with the last race of the regular season coming up next week.
Yeah, it certainly is. And just by going off of, we don't have the points from tonight's race just yet, but going off of what we saw last week, guys, you're going to be looking at guys like Ryan Wilson, Steve Kerpel, Caleb Leviner still has a chance at making it into the playoffs. Kip Easley, James Kunkel are in. Austin Harger, a guy who was not here tonight, was in, might be out after this. So there's going to be a decent amount of drivers looking to get into that top 12, either via win or trying to point their way in going into next week at Kentucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely going to be fun with that final race coming up next week. But for now, that is going to do it for us here on ESPN with the MPI Cup Series. A fantastic race amongst everybody and a lot of incidents here tonight, as you would expect on a road course. But let's go through the results as we get ready to get on out of here, as coming home with the victory was Warren Keys. Just absolutely dominant. Didn't lead all the laps as he got jumped on the pit stops by Ryan Thomas, but still a very good race and a perfect night here for the number 88. Ryan Thomas in second, Trevor Massetti rounding out your top 3. Richard Swaverley coming home with a P4. Great run for him tonight. Dominic Lee rounds out your top 5. Steve Coppell in P6. 7th going to Brian Fine. 8th going to Austin Shoemaker. 9th to Ray Rogers. 10th to Joseph Mahar. And Garrett Brown just missing out on the top 10 despite everything he's been through tonight. So good recovery from him in the end. Garrett Davis in P12 putting that nightmare of Richmond behind him and finally getting a decent result. Parker Bland, a late spin, putting him down to P13, and Clint Leatherwood in the 29 machine coming home in P14 there, Frank.
Yep, that'll leave P15 with Kip Easley, Justin Hendry, P16. Those two guys were the last two to finish one lap down. 3 guys finishing 2 laps down, 17th, 18th, and 19th. That would be Ryan Ezell, Daniel Holcroft, and Dustin Reeves. Christopher Fail, the only car finishing 3 laps down tonight, in the 20th position. 21st and 22nd go to Jason Clark and Jerry Culver, both 4 laps down. 23rd going to Carl Burke, who actually retired, I think, on the second to last lap, coming home in 23rd. 24th will be Dylan Hastings, again started 4 laps down after having a throughput and starting the race late. He finishes 6 laps down tonight. 7 laps down in the 25th position is James Kunkel. 3 retirements tonight beyond Carl Burke. Matt Rogers finishing 26th, Dakota Curtis 27th, and Chris Shoemaker 28th.
Well, that is going to do it for us here tonight here on ESPN with the MPI Cup Series. A fantastic race from everybody here tonight. Looking ahead on the schedule, we're back with the Western States Racing Series as they continue their search for a new champion. And on Wednesday, we're back with Sim Racers Edge on the iRacing Live portal as they head to the Indy Road Course. Well, that is going to do it for myself here and from my broadcast partner, Mr. Frank Marchese. All that's left for me to say right now is keep it clean, keep it green, have a fantastic night, and we will catch you on Tuesday night for more racing action here on ESPN. Have a fantastic night.